What up, donkeys? Jack Haze here with JackAce.com, and today I'm going to test the theory of betting with or against streaks. We're going to be testing this using this roulette app, and we're going to be testing this using my new simulator. This is a simulator I've been working on for a couple of weeks now. It's not going to be available to the general public for probably another 2 months or so. This is a really flexible simulator. You can tell it to change betting patterns according to numbers that you hit, or depending on whether you win or lose the previous bet. I'm really excited about my simulator. I've shown it in the past, but in the past it only spit out text about what was happening. Now the output is a lot more polished. It's a lot easier to read. It's a lot easier to understand. There are nice graphs that you'll be able to see, and I hope you're as excited as me to take a look at it today. So today we're going to be doing a simple martingale strategy. We're going to try martingale just a couple of times off the top, just betting black and doubling when we lose. And then we're going to try martingale waiting for a streak of 1 red, 2 reds, and maybe 3 reds as well. So let's just get started. We're going to bet $1 on black. I'm going to bet $1 on black, and we're going to keep doubling when we lose and keep doubling until we hit. So there we lost $1, so now we double our bet. Our current bet is $2, and we're going to spin. If you don't know what martingale is, it's a strategy where you just keep doubling your bets until you win, and eventually when you do win, you will be ahead 1 unit. So we lost $1 initially, we just now won $2, so now we are ahead $1. And we can start over at the $1 tier, and we're gonna spin.
No more bets.
So this is the case where we're not waiting for any triggers before we start betting. We're just gonna start out with a $1 bet on black. So we just lost $1, and now we bet 2.
No more bets.
And we're going to spin. We're going to keep spinning until we get another black. So now we've lost $2. We lost $1 on the first round. We lost $2 on the second round. And now we're going to bet $4. And we're going to spin. We've lost a total of 3, and we're betting 4. So when we hit, like we did here, we've recovered those $3 in losses, and we are ahead $1. And now we start over with $1 again. We go back down to that first tier. And we're going to spin. So at this point, we've hit black twice. And we were up 2 units, but now we're only up 1 unit. And we're going to double again.
No more bets.
And we'll just keep doing this until we hit black. Here we go. So this is a real quick illustration of how martingale works. You just keep doubling your bet until you eventually hit, assuming that you have enough money to cover all of your losses, and assuming that the casino will allow you to bet at whatever limit you need to bet for that round. So now we're up $3. We hit 3 times, but now we're gonna wait for a streak of reds. So we're gonna just go ahead and spin with nothing on the table. We're going to wait for a streak of reds, and we're going to wait for 1 red before we start betting. And how does that improve our chances of winning? Some people think that it's less likely that you're going to hit a streak of, let's say, 4 reds, and so you should wait for a streak of 3 reds before you bet on black. That was black, so we're going to keep spinning until we hit red again.
No more bets.
There's a black, and go ahead and spin. We're waiting on that red.
No more bets.
So here we go. So now we've hit 1 red. And so the people who are opposite bettors, people who bet the opposite of what just happened, those people believe that you increase your odds of winning by waiting for these streaks. So now we're going to bet $1 on black.
No more bets.
And we've hit a streak of 2 reds. So in their mind, they've saved themselves some money by preventing them from losing on that first round. There's a streak of 3. We lost $2, and now we're going to double our bets again.
No more bets.
There's our 4th red in a row. Double our bets. Our current bet is $8.
No more bets.
And finally, we hit black, and we've recovered all of our $7 in losses, plus 1 unit being ahead $1. What happens if we wait for a streak of 2 reds in a row? Does that improve our chances of winning? It's not enough to look at these single spins that we're going to be doing.
No more bets.
Here we're going to bet 0. We kind of have to look at this at a macro level. We kind of have to take a 50,000-foot view of this system, which is where the simulator comes in and really shines. So here we go. We are continuing to hit black. So here's our first red. but we're still going to hold off on betting.
No more bets.
And we're going to wait for a streak of 2 reds. So we need this to be red for us to start betting. And this was not a red, so now we got to wait still for
No
2
more
more
bets.
reds in a row. So
No
some
more
people
bets.
think waiting for a streak and then betting the opposite improves your odds, and some people think waiting for the streak and continuing with the streak improve your odds. But obviously both people can't be right. There's our first red in a row,
No
and
more
now we're going to
bets.
spin again. Okay, so now we've hit 2 reds in a row, and we're going to start our progression
No
on
more
black.
bets.
So now we've won. And at this point, a lot of people who believe in betting the opposite, they're going to have to wait for that streak again. Let's try this maybe one more
No
time,
more
waiting for
bets.
that streak of 2 reds. So here's our first red, and now we're going to wait for a second
No
one.
more bets.
Spin. We've hit black, so now we got to wait for 2 reds again. No matter what you think of betting with streaks or against streaks, you are going to end up waiting around a lot of the time. And to be honest, if you're going to wait for a streak of 4 or 5 in a row, they probably don't want you playing at that roulette table because you're not going to be playing hardly at all. So let's
No
go
more
ahead and
bets.
spin again. Another black. And it's possible to switch which even money bet
No
you're
more
betting
bets.
on. We could just flip to betting red here, but I'm just going to stay consistent and wait for the streak of red. So here's the 1 red in a row.
No more bets.
Okay, there's our 2 reds in a row. And now we start our progression of betting on black with $1.
No more bets.
Again, we were up $5 when this started. So now we've hit. So some people would say, oh, we waited for that streak of red and now we bet the opposite and we were rewarded immediately because black was due. These are the people that think that roulette balls have memory. These are the people that think that roulette wheels have a memory. I don't know why they would think such a thing, but that's what people think. So we've won $6, we've won 6 units, but it's really not representative of whether this was successful or not. We really have to do many, many trials to see if this is really an effective system. And in order for us to do that, we're going to take a look at this in the simulator and we're going to run 10,000 trials at a time. So why don't we just go ahead and get started? What up, donkeys? JackAce here, and I'm here to show you my new roulette simulator. This is something that is currently in development. I've been working on this for a couple of weeks and I expect to release it to various mobile platforms in maybe 2 months, possibly August of 2023. So right now we're going to just test Martingale and we're going to test it in various scenarios. We are going to test it with single, double, and even 000 wheels. And we're going to test it with just a straight Martingale and also waiting for 1 opposite bet and waiting for a streak of 3 opposite bets in a row. So we're going to be betting on black. And so when we wait, we are going to be waiting for 1 red and then later on 3 reds. And we're going to see how that affects our success. So here we are starting with a balance of $63 and we are going to try to achieve a win of 25%, which would take us to about $79. And we're going to do 1,000 trials using just straight Martingale. That's what this simulation is. So let's click on simulate. It takes a few seconds to run through 1,000 different trials. That's 1,000 attempts to go from $63 to $79. So here we did 1,000 trials. Overall, we lost 5.5% of all the money wagered. We are using a 00 wheel here. So that's about in line with our expected loss of 5.26%. Out of our 1,000 trials, we were successful in winning 25% around 70% of the time. And it took us around 28 spins per trial. When we were successful, it took us around 32 spins. When we failed, it took us around 20 spins to fail. So we are looking at the first trial here. That took us 13 spins and we ended up failing. We're just betting on black every time. So we lost the first round and then we doubled and then won on the second round. And you can see we had a streak of 4 losses in a row, but then finally won 16 here, taking us from 64 to 65. And here you can see we lost 6 in a row with a max bet of $32, leaving us with just $2, and we didn't have enough money to bet the next round, which would be 64. We can go to the next trial in this series. Here we steadily climbed and then had a pretty big dip. We scroll down here. You can see we lost 16, but then we recovered with a $32 win here. So this is a typical Martingale run. And since we're only trying to win 25% of our bankroll, we were successful of a pretty good amount of the time. And we'll just cycle through a couple of examples. This is what they look like. You can see we have a lot of successes. We hit $79 quite often. Here we just lost right out of the gate, just lost 6 in a row. So we can do this a couple of times, but right now we're successful around 70% of the time. We'll try it again, see what that looks like. Again, we're successful 70% of the time. And let's look at some of these trials. A lot of failures, a couple of failures, and then a success. But this is the key thing to look at, 70% success. And let's try this one more time. Again, this is with 00. We're going to do 1,000 trials. And this is very consistent with winning 71%. And this is pretty consistent with an average of 28 spins per trial. Now let's try this with a different Martingale strategy. So we're going to try this where we wait for a certain number of reds to show up. So here we're going to wait until we hit it one time, and then we'll go into Martingale. So we're going to wait for one red, and then we're going to start the $1 martingaling progression on black. So let's go ahead and run this trial. So this simulator is a work in progress. It doesn't have a UI for defining what your betting tiers are, and it doesn't have a UI for defining the criteria for migrating from one betting tier to another. That's all done in code right now. So here we're just defining that we need to hit that threshold one time. And we're going to click simulate. This is 1,000 trials. And again, you can see we average around 71% successes out of the 1,000 trials that we had of achieving that 25% gain in the bankroll. But now, instead of being 28 spins per trial, now it's 57. So we've actually doubled it, a little bit more than doubled it, just waiting for one red to show up. So here we hit black right off the bat. We didn't bet anything. And we hit red and we didn't bet anything either. But now we start a progression. We bet $1 on black and we hit it right away. And now that we hit our black, we go back to waiting. So we wait for a red and we get our red. But again, we didn't bet. Our next bet is on black and we win $1. So here you'll see the same result. We're just waiting around a lot longer. And we went from, like I said, an average number of spins being 28 spins per trial. Now it takes us 57. So waiting for that red just doubled our waiting time. And we can do it a couple times and see if we see any fluctuations. It's still 71% success, and it's still 57 spins per trial on average. It takes us longer, obviously, to hit our goal than it is to just fail, because you can fail right away. Right out of the gate, you can lose 6 in a row. 6 would be the minimum that it takes to get knocked out. The minimum it would take for you to reach your goal would be 16, because you only need to win 16 times to achieve your goal of hitting 79. And so you can see that this waiting strategy is in effect. So we win here, then we wait, and then we start betting again. And like I would have predicted, the success percentage doesn't change at all. The only thing that changes is the number of spins per trial, because you end up waiting around a lot longer. So now we can change this and we can wait for 3 reds in a row. And how does that affect our success rate? How does that affect our average spins per trial? We're still starting with 63. We're still trying to hit 79, but now we're waiting for 3 reds in a row. And what does that look like? Again, our success rate is still 71%, 71%. And instead of being 28 spins per trial, instead of being 57 spins per trial when we wait for 1 red, now our spins per trial balloon to 248 spins per trial. And you'll just notice that there's a lot of flat non-changes to your bankroll. That's what these horizontal lines are. And then you'll have an occasional dip as you start betting. So here We had 3 reds in a row, and then we started betting on black. We won right away, so then we reset and wait for 3 reds in a row again. And that happens here, where we start betting again on black. We lost 1, we lost 2, and then recovered with a win of $4. So the results are just the same. You're just waiting around for these 3 reds to hit. It really doesn't affect how successful you are once you start betting. You can see that this success rate has been hovering around 70%. The only thing that changes is the spins per trial. So that was us trying to increase our bankroll by 25%. What if we try to increase our bankroll by 50%? That's going to be going from 63 to about 95. And we're, again, using a double zero wheel. So this is just straight martingale. We just come out of the gate betting black. So we lose the first, we win the second, we recover, we're up $1. And we eventually get on a bad streak and lose everything minus the 18 single bets we've won. We have $18 that we're left with, and we are not able to make the $64 bet required to continue the streak. But what is important to look at is this, the success rate. It's about 48, 49%. And we have around 48 spins per trial. And let's run this a couple more times. We're running 1,000 trials at a time still. So here we still have around 49, 50% success rate. And we still have around 48 spins per trial. So then what happens if we go back to our wait for 1 red scenario? We're going to wait for 1 red. That's what's happening here. So let's restart this, and we're going to try to get from 63 to 95. So we were getting 49, 50% success rate with 48 spins per trial. So again, we're still at a 50% success rate, hitting that $95 goal. But instead of having 48 average spins per trial, now it's ballooned up to 97, 98. Let's look at a couple of trials. Here, we waited for that red. We didn't bet. And then we bet black. We won. We reset to our waiting period. So here, we hit our red where we didn't bet. And then we bet 1, 2, 4. We recover with 8. And then go back to waiting. We hit our red. We hit our black immediately and then reset and start waiting again. So this is a failure condition. We hit our bad streak, obviously, at the end. We bet 32 and we had $7 left over. We couldn't make a $64 bet. So here's a couple more failures. Failure. This is what the graph looks like for this system. And let's try this one more time, waiting for 1 red before we bet black. So the success rate goes up a little, but that's just part of the natural fluctuation of having such a small sample size. I'll do these simulations again with 10,000 trials instead of 1,000. It just takes very long. It takes over a minute to do 10,000 trials. So I'm only doing 1,000 at a time just to give you a glimpse of what these systems are going to look like. But very close to 50, 51%. But again, our average spins per trial are still around the 98, 99 mark. Here's what these trials look like. A couple of times it's pretty flat. You're just waiting, and then it either goes up a notch or comes crashing down. So that's waiting for 1, still around 50, 51%. And let's look at waiting for 3 reds. I have this activity monitor running, just checking my CPU, checking my memory as I'm running this app. This is written in dotNet using a framework called MAUI. Once this is all operational, it'll be available for iOS, Android, Mac OS, and possibly Windows. So now we're waiting for 3, and we're still trying to get to $95. Let's click on Simulate. And we're expecting this to be around 50%. So it's actually gone down from what we were seeing before. We were seeing 49, 50, 51%. Now it's 48.8. So it's still within a pretty small margin of error of 1 to 3%. But the only thing that's changing really is the number of spins per trial. Now we're up to 419. We were at 98 before. So this is the thing you should be concerned about. If you're playing Martingale and you're waiting for a negative streak, you're waiting for the opposite streak, are you improving your chances of hitting? And looking at these 6 scenarios so far, we haven't improved anything at all. And I think that's counterintuitive to what most people think. Most people think that, oh, you wait for a bunch of reds to hit, you know that black is due.
It's due.
But here we can see that that is not the case. And we can cycle through a couple of these examples. Because we have so many trials, this graph starts to become hard to read because for this trial, there's 261 data points. That's why it's very difficult to see the line. So then what about the scenario of trying to double our money? Going from $63 to $127. That's a significant threshold because with 63 units, you can only withstand 6 losses. But if you have $127, now you can withstand 7 losses. So let's try this with 127 being our threshold of winning. So here, now we're successful 26.2% of the time. And our average spins per trial is 73. We can look at a couple of trials to make sure it's doing what we're thinking it's doing. And we are always betting on black, just either $1 or $2, $4. There is no waiting period for this system. So right at the gate, we bet $1, lose it. Bet 2, win. So yes, in this scenario, we're only successful 26% of the time. Let's click simulate again. So we're actually doing much worse now. Now it's down to 22%. If you average the 2 simulations so far, it's around 24% success. We had 73.6 spins per trial. Now it's only 70. So this really hasn't changed through the 2 different simulations that we've run. Let's try it one more time. We got 22 and 26% on the success rate so far. You're going to see a lot of fluctuations when you have a small sample size like this of only 1,000 trials. So here, now we're back up to 26.5. So I think it's probably safe to say it's around 26% success rate. And we have around 73, 74 spins per trial. Back to the simulator, 00 wheel. But now we're trying to wait for 1 red before we bet. Let's simulate this. So we're still at a success rate of a little bit over 26%. It went up from 26 to 27, but I think that's just part of the natural fluctuations of having this small sample size. But our average spins per trial went up from 73 to 150. So again, the biggest change that you're making is just waiting around, just to wait for 1 red to come out. And you can see, wait, hit the red, and then we bet. We make our goal of $1, then we reset, wait again, hit the red, and bet $1 again, win, wait again, and start that progression again until we finally hit. So you can see that there's really no benefit to waiting for that red to hit. I suppose you could say the benefit is that you're not betting. Here we have a success rate of 25. So you can see that this number is going to fluctuate based on this low desired trials number here. If we bump this up to 10,000, you'll see that this number stays pretty steady, but we're going to end up waiting around a lot longer. So here's an example where we were successful, but we had to do it in 261 spins. That's going to be hours and hours. Let's try this one more time. Still 26% success, and still around 150 spins per trial. And let's cycle through a couple of these. You'll see a pretty common pattern. It either inches up with a couple of dips like this, or it inches up and then crashes hard like this. We almost hit our goal of 127. We were within a couple of units away, but we had a hard crash near the end. So now what happens if we bump the hit threshold to 3? Do we still have that 26% success rate? And what happens to the 150 spins per trial? Now we're waiting for 3 reds. Let's look at the CPU. It's pinned at 100%. It's pretty resource intensive. So again, 25% success rate. Now instead of 150 spins per trial, we're looking at almost 650 spins per trial. So if you have 1 spin a minute, that's going to take you almost 11 hours to complete on average. And when you're successful, it's going to take you around 20 hours to double your money. So let's look at a couple of examples where we actually hit the threshold. Here we hit the threshold of hitting 3 reds in a row. We started betting, we lost, and then we went to 2. So I'm going to run these simulations with tens of thousands of trials. and I'm going to show you the summarized results. And I'm going to do this for single zero, double zero, and triple zero, trying to achieve a goal of 25%, 50%, and 100%. Basically going from 63 units to 127 units. And you should be able to see and understand that your success rate does not go up at all by waiting. All that happens is you end up waiting a lot longer. And let's just do this one more time. So here we're waiting for a streak of 3, and we still have that same 24 to 26% success rate, and we still have over 600 spins per trial. So hopefully you can see that the only thing that is changing is the number of spins per trial. And this is the important thing to look at, your success rate. You're either trying to increase your bankroll by 25% or 50% or 100%. And that success rate remains nearly the same, even with a small sample size of 1,000. So anyway, I'm going to be making a lot of changes. This is my first time showing you the simulator with a UI. Right now, the UI is only for displaying results. And I think the results are pretty clear. But in the future, you will be able to define your own betting tiers. You will be able to define when you go from one tier to another. And you'll be able to run this on your desktop or your mobile or your iPad. So hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions or if you have any features you'd like to see. So that's it. That's my simulator. I think I've done a good job of showing whether or not waiting for streaks is effective to the good or to the bad. Obviously, I'm a mathematician. I have a degree in actuarial mathematics. I follow what these simulations show me. I don't think a real world roulette wheel is going to differ that much from what a random number generator is going to generate for us. You're going to see the same thing over and over, whether you wait for a streak of 3 or 4 or 5, 6 or 7, it doesn't matter. Your odds do not improve at all. The only thing that changes is you're going to be waiting a long time between spins. Ultimately, all the money that you put in is going to have the same expected loss over time. It makes absolutely no difference. And if there's someone out there who can prove otherwise, I'd love to see your proof. Not just anecdotal evidence of you watching a roulette wheel being spun 20 times in a casino or whatever. In any case, what do you think of my findings? What do you think of my simulator? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe. Always gamble responsibly, never play 000 roulette, and peace out, donkeys.